Hey everybody, Todd Linder here, founder of LaunchPoint, and today I have Phil with me. I'm so excited for Phil to share his story with you because Phil and I connected through someone I used to work with that now Phil was working with at his church. And we got connected about 90 days ago or so. And I'm just so excited for Phil to share his story of how he went from not getting the traction he was looking for on the job search to being in a job he's super excited about, a company he's really excited about in 90 days. So Phil's going to tell a better version of the story than me. So I would just love for you to start off sharing a little bit about where you were before we got started working together.
Yeah, happy to share. I think where I found myself before was someone who was just doing work, moderately enjoying the work, but just felt like I wasn't in the right spot. And actually, what Todd's forgetting is that connection to my former employer. To add on to that, my father-in-law sent me Todd's LinkedIn profile and was like, "Hey, I don't know anything about this guy, but he seems legit." And it was just kind of those moments where Todd's name just kept coming back, and I didn't want to be lost anymore. I was looking for some direction, and Todd's program, I think, caught my eye as something to give me some direction, give me some steps to follow, to take the guessing game out of what in God's green earth am I doing, but just to give some clear direction. And so started from a place of just being lost and bewildered of where am I to finding clarity, finding guidance, finding a community, and the rest was history from there.
Yeah, well, we can talk about more of that stuff. I forgot totally that it was your father-in-law, which I'm still undecided if that's actually a positive thing that your father-in-law connected us or not. But
Yeah.
it ended up great for you and me. So I'm so glad that happened. So you heard about us through your father-in-law, through our friend Susan. What was the tipping point that got you into a place where we actually started connecting and got on a call?
I think I was doing this job search stuff on my own, just talking to people, and I felt like I had a decent plan of talking to people I knew at church and connections I had. But I just kind of felt like kept having the same conversation of, well, great, yeah, like let me know if you need anything. And I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know how to ask for it partly, but also I just didn't have any direction of of what I wanted to do. And so I'm not sure if that answers your question, but yeah, I just think the tipping point was this point where I've done all I can do, know how to do in the way that I know how to do it, and I need help. And
Mm,
I think it came from that place of humility of saying, okay, I need help. Let's make this
yeah.
investment. And again, like I said, the rest was history.
Was there something that happened or a conversation you had, or was there something where it's like, oh, wait a second, I actually do need help with this? Or was it like a longer period of time of just trying it out? I'm just genuinely curious myself. Was there like a moment where it's like, this isn't working and I think I might need some external assistance or support?
You know, yeah, that's a great question. I don't think for me I had any kind of moment. I really do think it was just a slow burn where I was stubborn enough, me personally, stubborn enough to think, hey, I got this. I don't need I don't need help from anyone. Surely between Google and YouTube and LinkedIn, I can figure this thing out. I just think it was this slow process of awareness as I talked to other folks that I knew that had made this transition from kind of ministry to marketplace. They just talked about how hard it was, how long it could
Mm,
be. And so I guess maybe if I had to pick one moment, I would say it was this idea of forming a bit of a community of people that are also at the same boat. Um, to not so much bounce ideas, but just to feel like you weren't alone. So if I had to pick one thing, I would say that community part that you talked about within ministry to marketplace. I think that was huge for me to
mm.
see it as okay. This is different. This investment's worth it.
Yeah, that's cool because it's not just doing it by yourself, as you mentioned. I mean, right now there's probably almost 70 people in this group. And I remember when I was going through this process, it was a lonely experience. I felt weird. I felt shame for try to figure out how to make this. I didn't think I could talk about it. And if I knew that there was a group of other people working on together, which is why we did it, because the job search can be so incredibly lonely. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's nice just to not talk to your spouse about it anymore.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
work on it with other people.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
what did like what made you decide, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger? Was there, and you mentioned community already, but was there something that you saw, or like what made you decide to say, okay, this, I think this will be worth it. I'm going to go ahead and take the leap.
I would like to say it was the metrics you gave and the stats and all that, but I think it was really the stories that I think you do such a great job of sharing. And not so much the fairy tale stories, and I use that kind of loosely, but not so much the stories where like, hey, I got a job in a month, and absolutely that happens, and that's awesome, and those people work their tails off, and I don't want to downplay that. But I just think the stories of people saying, hey, I'm going to do this, and it worked out. I have a job. It worked. There was just some proof in the pudding where these stories sure captured your heart in some ways, but in more ways than not, were just like hey, I did it. And it took me 90 days or 100 days or whatever, however many days it worked. And I just think there was just proof. There was just evidence via the stories that something was happening within this program. And if I wanted to be a part of that story, what could I do to join that? And to me, that was at that point was a no-brainer of, hey, I gotta get into this. This something's happening. This is exciting.
That's super cool. So this is your story now. So where would you describe yourself now that this has been a part of your story?
I think one of the first trainings you do is the noticing, kind of notice what you're feeling, what you're thinking about. And when I first did that training, I was like, What am I joining? What is this?" And then about 30 days in, I realized this is vital from the ups and downs. And so I think where I was someone who was thinking he could do it all himself, or that he could just try a little harder, or that it was just a matter of effort. But I think there was something that you expanded that changed me to notice a little bit, to notice things that I was feeling. And even towards the end of the program, I messaged you and I was like, "Hey, I need a break, man. I'm doing this and I'm just exhausted." And then I think literally a few days later, something changed and a company called, and again, the rest was history. But I think for me, what I'm leaving with being part of the program is this ability to notice these things around me, notice what I'm bringing into something, whether a meeting or a project, and the ability to notice that, acknowledge it, and then say, okay, hey, I'm going to set this aside right now and I'm going to focus on this task in front of me. And I think your program set me up for that. As silly as it sounded at first, that is what I'm leaving with and being changed by, that yeah, I'm really grateful for.
Wow. That's super cool to hear. And you got a job on top of that.
And I got a job. That was key.
And
That was key. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good part of it. Man, that's
Yeah.
super cool to hear. I'm so glad to hear that that was impactful for you. So last question for you, Phil. Again, thank you so much for your time. If anyone was on the fence about working with LaunchPoint, about joining the interview accelerator, about working with us, what would you tell them?
Man, maybe there's someone out there that could do this all themselves. I am not one of them, and I would venture to guess there are a lot of people who feel like this is just too much. Whether you're carrying the weight of uh, paying the rent if you're single, or family and childcare expenses and healthcare expenses. I just think there's so much weight in this world. Um, and yes, we have this unique faith that guides us and anchors us, but there's this ability to join a community that is doing it with you. And so whether you've got questions about LinkedIn, or I'm exhausted, or everywhere in between, or just family, it's been so fun to keep track of people on LinkedIn and see what they're doing, not even in a LinkedIn capacity, but just like excited to see people get jobs they're excited about, see families be encouraged to move back closer to family, and so on and so forth. And so I just think don't do it alone. And yes, this community is going to give you the tools, the success, the steps to work on your LinkedIn and all those fun things. That is an easy no-brainer that you will get. But something much deeper than that is you're going to get a community of people that want to do it with you. Again, whether LinkedIn questions or family questions, you're not alone. And I don't know about you, but I think we could all use more people in our corner. And this community gave me that.
And that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Well, Phil, thank you again so much for your time. And thank you guys for watching this conversation with Phil. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day.